2 mile run and gun. Take the Kyle challenge. Shoot me, ninja, shoot me. Get shot. Oh, snap. You found my only weakness. Bullets. Click the links for Odysee, Bit Chute, support the channel, join the Discord. So, doing this for YouTube might be next to impossible. So go to Odysee and Bit Chute if I put a raw version on there. Join the channel, click the links. They're going to try it at Railroad, yeah boy, Kyle. They've got themselves an uphill road there, but in terms of self-defense, it looks like pretty much a perfect case. But the fact that it went to trial at all is a very bad sign. If you look at the district attorney, if you've been watching the case so far, it seems insane after showing the video in court that the judge would continue after that point, be like, yeah, he was being chased by an angry mob and he defended himself, case closed. The thing is, it's sort of a big split on where you want the country to go, what kind of world you want to live in. So people look at cities with Antifa and BLM and they say, yeah, we pay taxes for the police, but the mayor tells the police to leave Antifa alone, so why are we paying taxes to the police in the first place? Maybe it'd be better to set aside areas for different ideologies. Yeah, they're called cities. I meant something a bit different. A city, county, or state where it has a dogma, i.e. a constitution, but also a way to exclude the wrong sort of person. Those old-fashioned city-states back in the day. You get people who just don't want to make civilization work. I'm talking about literally physically keeping them out. Like a city-state, we've got a wall, a border, checkpoints. Think how much safer you'd be and think how better a city could function if you could simply say, oh yeah, you don't have a pass for the city because you're living in a blue city, you're a blue city voter person, you're not welcome in a red city, and vice versa. And then other cities could just be open cities. It's something to consider. Where if you want to live in a left-wing area or a right-wing area, great, but the states or regions could have something like a charter, articles of incorporation, something. Let's get creative with it. So we want a state without CRT or globalist schools or trans kids, children dancing on stripper stages. So we didn't want that. And like as a matter of law, that kind of stuff wasn't allowed. Say we didn't want any prawn either. We didn't want kids being exposed to prawn. And if we had to do IP block stuff and it meant adults couldn't be exposed to it either, it's like there's no loss in not watching that kind of thing. So we didn't want a city or a region with BLM and Antifa where those people just didn't live in that region of the state, where people don't act like savage animals and tear down statues. If they don't like a statue of some person, they just propose a bill or propose a vote and say, okay, we want to replace this statue with someone else. That's how civilized adults act in a civilization, get in focus, that has a future. Imagine living in a state with no drive-by shootings. Because you haven't been paying attention, crime in Portland is on the rise. Oregon, Washington, in general, violent crimes on the rise on the coast. It's like America's experiment in feminism that led to single moms has finally borne so much fruit that it's impossible to ignore. Imagine a state where single motherhood was openly considered to be a bad thing. Because it is. It turns out people need structure. People need dads, or in general terms, without dads, you're going to have a deleterious effect on society as a whole and in the individual in specific. And beyond single moms, the generations of the hippy-dippy nonsense, that's roughly led to all this crap that you see before you. Watching the Kyle videos, as I've seen them all when it happened, and I'm rewatching them now because it's in the news with the trial, I see a bunch of people burning buildings and generally acting like savage monkeys who have no part in civilization. Josh Zeminski, who's the guy who fired the initial shot, is a felon himself. Everyone involved is a felon except for the kid. Haber, Grosskreutz, Rosenbaum. Those guys are scumbags. Literally all four of those guys are felons. And two of them were felons in possession of a firearm. But sometimes felonies are wobbler cases. They're literally felons who are rioting for no purpose other than to riot. They weren't burning small businesses in the hope of stopping police violence. It means nothing to them. It's just a street party. And really, why are you burning small businesses? Why don't you go protest, peacefully assemble outside of the city councilors, the mayors, the government officials? And I don't mean go to their house at night. I mean, have a peaceful assembly where you can actually have a chance of changing something. So what they're doing in Kenosha is like, you're not accomplishing anything other than to cause damage. Now, in this situation, you had two scumbags who were killed, and one guy suffered an injury to his arm, but they died over nothing. What benefit was it to them or to society to light a trash can on fire or destroy someone's small business? And even if you're destroying Walmart, it's like, how does that help? Please explain it. Oh, it's just showing our rage and frustration. Well, if you got all that energy, all that time and money that goes into it, why don't you have a peaceful assembly during the day where you can clearly articulate what you want to change? It means all the things, all this rioting, it meant nothing. These people died for nothing. And I'm not saying that police violence is not a problem. Many of us on the right wing, we want to get better police. We don't want to live in a police state. We want police to be held accountable and end this incestuous relationship between the district attorney's office and the police. There's a lot of shenanigans going on there. But do you think Rosenbaum wants better police? Does he want a better society where he is prevented from diddling kids? Or he is, yeah, that's what he was in for. Or is he, as the other idiots, just looking to commit crime and not be held accountable? Let me divide a bunch of these people in Kenosha. Are the ones burning small businesses and attacking people looking to build a successful civilization? If you literally gave Antifa and BLM a city to run, what would happen to it after a few years? Would it function, or would it quickly turn into Liberia? Kyle, our chubby Mexican hero, defended himself against 3 felons. He acted loosely to uphold civilization, so for that, they're going to put him in prison. Let me be clear here. Soros, Rothschilds, and the globalist-funded media, schools, and district attorney's office. And no, that's not some anti-Semitic trope against Soros. He paid Kim Fox's campaign $846,000, almost $1 million, to put her in office. She's the one who had the mutual combat with the chick who looks like Beetlejuice. So it's not some tinfoil hat Soros Rothschild's conspiracy. No, Soros has a fund of $30 billion that he puts these people into district attorney's positions. He funds campaigns with the only goal is to destroy civilization. Look at Kim Fox and you tell me if she deserves to be there. To go up against these people is tough because they're literally the richest people on Earth. And it's better to resist the reptilians in numbers and not as an individual. Either as a political advocacy group or as a militia, whatever form you want to take and however one form morphs into another, there is strength in numbers. On the Kenosha videos, the guys with the rifles weren't causing problems. They didn't threaten anyone or burn or kill anyone like Antifa and BLM. The violence was coming from Antifa, BLM. The police over the years have just let them burn, loot, and murder, which apparently people in these cities enjoy because they keep electing globalist mayors, city councilors, and governors who allow this to continue. Antifa BLM kept trying to provoke the rifle guys into a fight. The ones I saw were cool. They were just standing there offering to help people. They weren't half of them were Mexican, and they weren't these, if you think there's some, I don't know, the guys in the white cloaks, if you that's what the media tried to portray them as. It's like, there's no video of them doing that. They were just walking around trying to help people. They were posted up on a business because they didn't want these idiots to loot it and then burn it down because it was their business or their friend's business. And BLM was getting pissed off because they wanted to loot and burn these small businesses. The police could have handled this easily. They could have simply had a curfew and just arrested people. It's like, why are you on the street? Well, I'm on the street because I want to be on the street. Okay, well, we've got a curfew. You're under arrest. Where you have a big prison bus and you just pull people off the street and put them in jail for the night. It's not an insurmountable thing to do, especially when you got the National Guard to help you. The mayors, I assume, told them not to do this. The mayors and governors do not care if your business gets burned. However, the business owners very much care if you burn their business to ashes, especially if they're inside it. BLM literally burned a store down with the owner inside. They found his body the next day. Congratulations, BLM, you murdered a black man. So we have a situation where the police won't protect you, and you've got to protect yourself and your store, which means that you have to shoot rioters who are trying to kill you. You see a bunch of people who think that this is some kind of video game. If you see BLM with cans of gasoline and crowbars, they're going to loot and then burn a building, possibly killing everyone inside or everyone who's in an associated building next to it. That's hard for normal people to wrap their heads around, that there exists these people who don't want to make civilization work. They literally want to turn the first world. America's not really a first world nation anymore, and I don't mean that hyperbolically. I mean that literally. It's something less than a first world nation, but it's better than a second world nation. But these people want to turn it. I mean, like first world nation is Japan, South Korea, New Zealand, Sweden, Norway, some European countries. America is just a little bit less than a first world nation. It used to be a first world nation, but it has been slipping over the years. But they're like, it's hard for the normie to wrap their head around the concept that, like, wait, you guys want to make things worse? Like, you want more violent crime? Or you want a situation, you want to set forces in motion that will lead to a more violent, low trust society? Like, yeah, there are literally people who want to do that, and you go, why? Because they don't know any better. A lot of them are legitimately low IQ. Like, if you go look at these 4 guys who are associated with it, it's either not necessarily low IQ. I should say some of them are flat out sociopaths or borderline personalities. You look at the 4 guys involved: Zeminski, Rosenbaum, Gross-Kurtz, 4 felons. They're missing something. Like, they're just missing a piece of empathy. Like, they don't understand the concept of empathy, not to the extent that you and I understand it. Like, we want to help people in general, or at least we don't want to get in the way of them helping themselves. We want things to work. We want people to be kind and polite to each other. We want society to move forward with the least amount of friction as possible. And ultimately, there are a lot of us who flat out do want to help people. We want a better, kinder, gentler society. You can't do that with these guys, these 4 guys, Zeminskis and Habers and Gross-Kurtz. There's like 4 felons, 2 of them in possession of firearms. They're not there to make society work. They're there to tear it down. Like, there are parasites in the system. They're not many, but they're there. And if you don't get rid of them legally with due process, don't swat me, bro, they will grow and they will spread the disease. Going after Kyle is a way for the globalists to remove the right of self-defense for you. They will always retain those rights for themselves. If Kyle is found guilty on any of the serious charges, then self-defense is gone. He may as well have just went after the crowd after he defended himself from Rosenbaum. If you go away for one murder, it really doesn't matter after that. You're already going away. And I'm not advocating any illegal conduct. Kyle was attacked by Rosenbaum, a felon, kitty, diddler. Rosenbaum died doing what he loved, chasing kids. And Kyle defended himself. Rosenbaum is on camera chasing an armed man. At the last possible second, Kyle turned and defended himself. He shot Rosenbaum. What did people expect the kid to do? If someone chases an armed person to take for whatever reason, that's as dangerous a situation as you can imagine. That's a clear-cut case of self-defense. Yes, you have the right to defend yourself. And then the mob chased Kyle, and the mob was working up the mob. Like, you had people who saw the situation, but then they lied about it to work the mob up into a frenzy. They're chasing Kyle, and they attack him again with a skateboard, and one guy's got a pistol, and Kyle defends himself. The mob did not have justification to make a citizen's arrest or chase a fleeing felon, or even in common law, you could kill a fleeing felon in some circumstances in an act of seeking revenge, because the first shooting was in legal self-defense. No, it's not murder. Murder's a legal term. It's a homicide. Is it a homicide without justification, mitigation, or excuse? Then it might be a murder or a manslaughter. There's a little criminal law flowchart for you. It's not a murder. It was justified, mitigated, or excused. Self-defense or defense of others. Rosenbaum chasing Kyle, like, that's on camera from 3 or 4 angles. That's as clear as that's as clear as day. If Gross-Kurtz had shot Kyle, he would be in prison. Though what the district attorney would do, who knows? You can't chase someone, shoot them, and then claim self-defense. In a way, he's lucky Kyle shot him. Otherwise, Gross-Kurtz would be on trial. He might be doing, if he killed Kyle, he might be in prison for, I don't know, in that state it might only be 12 years, but it'd be a chunk of time. Or, maybe the DA would just decline to press charges. A lot of people in that mob seem to think that they could attack people and people wouldn't defend themselves. That's a weird generation of people who don't understand consequences or don't imagine it will happen to them. The bigger picture of Kyle going down for this is it tells you clearly where the country is going. If you allow mobs to burn, loot, and murder without consequences, you don't have a civilization, or at least it'll take a few years, but it'll just devolve into Brazil. Sorry, Brazil. What's the point of having a store if a mob will loot it and then burn it? Why do you pay taxes if police allow violent mobs? It'd be better to not pay those taxes, form a militia, and build a city around the structure of the militia. Yeah, it would look pretty similar, but with every store owner, it would be armed. Look at the bigger picture of looting that's been going on lately. You can see it on YouTube. How long can this go on before the stores that are affected leave the area? Insurance isn't magic. It's a risk allocation pool. They'll simply cancel you or raise the rates. So you're paying the cost. You're passing the cost along to the customer. So the customer is subsidizing this guild of thieves. No, they're not stealing bread. If they're legitimately hungry people in San Francisco, the Bay Area, we can set something up where it would be cheaper to feed them. They're not stealing bread, they're stealing cosmetics. And then they sell it at the swap meet. No, they're not buying bread with it, they're buying Nikes and liquor or drugs, where it's 100% profit to sell stolen goods. The customer realizes that they're subsidizing a thieving group of people. How do the customers who want to make society move forward, how do they view these thieves? Do you think there's any resentment going on? They're like, oh, I'm subsidizing you. Like, why don't I just pay you a tax to the Thieves Guild outright? You don't have to rob from the store. Wouldn't it be better to build a society apart from these people who are acting like parasites? I think a lot of people realize that a society where people openly steal without consequences is not one that is working. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I don't know if this can go on YouTube. Support the channel if you have the means to do so. Coffee, PayPal, Patreon, or anonymously through crypto. I think CashApp is anonymous too. Crypto is definitely anonymous. And I will see you guys in the Discord.